Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper, and today we have one of my favorite people in the community here. It's Linda Moran from the Coastal Association of Realtors. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Greg. It's so nice to see you again.
Now, my father was a realtor, so I got to see the underbelly of realtor life for a long time, and as I've grown up, I've learned that realtors are really special people who help a lot of people. Tell me about what it's like to be a realtor in our community.
Well, it can be very challenging at times. We're a consumer-related type business. We have to deal with all kinds of different people, and some we don't get along with, some we do. But the biggest thing that I find that most realtors don't do is God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that was for a reason, because we shouldn't talk so much. Let them tell you what it is that they want, and your job is to go out and find it, get them the financing, help them through their home inspections, help them through the whole process, and get them the best deal and terms that will help them the best suit whatever they're buying.
It really is an amazing process because it's such an orchestra of so many different interests all coming together to allow the transaction to happen.
That's correct. That's correct. There's so many jobs that are related to a real estate transaction. You have termite inspections, you have home inspectors, you have appraisals, you have a mortgage lenders. They have staff. The title company has staff. The real estate agent might have some help. They've got their broker and their office. It's really a very good job in that if you're an entrepreneur and you wish to really excel, you can. If you're not interested in going all the way to the top and being the biggest and best, you don't have to be. But it is a full-time commitment because you always have to be available, particularly when the people are not working, is when they want to look at homes.
Right. Now, you're president of the Coastal Association of Realtors, and that's sort of the lobbying, marketing group for the local realtors. Tell me what CAR does.
Well, we are essentially a member association. Our members, we do whatever we can for them in order to make their job easier. We have many education classes to keep them current. We also have RPAC, which is our Realtor Political Action, and we support those candidates that are running for office that support our real estate industry.
One of the things that impresses me with what I read in the paper is how much you guys do to give back to the community. There's so much support that you give to different programs.
Yes, we absolutely do give back to the community. As president of the association this year, I chose Coastal Hospice at the Ocean to be my charity. The charity is trying to raise a certain amount of money to put towards the $5 million that is the goal for the hospice. And this is in order to purchase and to retrofit a building that they purchased at the south gate of the Ocean Pines community.
That's going to be great. It's needed down there.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful spot
Right.
overlooking the Assawoman Bay and the Ocean City skyline. So this time next year it should be open. So we're selling Yeti, chances for Yeti coolers. We have 3 of them. And they're $10 a chance, and we're selling them at the fishing centers, the fishing tournaments. We're selling them at the real estate offices, and we really, really need everybody's support. The drawing will be Labor Day at MR Ducks.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, at between 5 and 7 o'clock on Labor Day. It'll be great. It'll be a great time.
Yeah. And
everybody, please come out. We also every Christmas raise money for and toys for tots for the kids, and we usually have a wounded warrior or a Marine or somebody there that's from the service, which is always kind of fun because everybody likes to
Right.
talk to them and thank them for their service.
I saw you even sent some money to the West Virginia flood victims.
Absolutely, we did. Absolutely, we did. Yeah, we try to help as much as we can, and not just our association, but the Maryland Association as well has helped a lot with the West Virginia flooding. Then we also we're going to have a paint night in September, and that's going to also support Coastal Hospice. And obviously, Habitat for Humanity is one that is near and dear to
Right.
our hearts because we build homes for
Right.
people who need them.
Yeah, I see the fundraisers for that, and you guys are out on the build. So giving back to the community, it's great.
The Coastal Association of Realtors is very community-minded. We give back to Worcester County, to Wycomico County, and Somerset County. So we're very happy to help in any way that we can.
When we had the last election, you all sponsored a forum with the candidates.
Yes.
And I think it was the best attended forum of all the candidates showing up because they have so much respect for the real estate industry.
Yes, absolutely. We talk to a lot of people, and people listen to us, and they want to make sure that we're heard.
Right. And your endorsement actually mattered to them.
Yes, absolutely. It
Yeah.
does.
So the training for realtors is really important. You kind of think that they just get their license and then they go on, but you really pull them in and get them constantly updated on what's going on.
Right. Once they get their license, it doesn't really teach you how to sell real estate. It only teaches you the laws and the ethics and the fair housing, the important things that you need to do to be legal. Once you learn that, then you need to go back to your broker that you choose to work for, and hopefully they give you some instruction, and then CAR also gives you instructions on how to do the actual business.
Right.
It's a lot of learning.
Right. So when people, there's different stages in this, and one is the listing thing. So you have a listing agent. Like if I want to sell my house, I go to you and you list it. Tell me how that process works.
Well, you go and you meet, and first of all you look at the home, you see what it's like, you make sure that it's a sellable listing. If it might need some fixing up or some staging, then you recommend that. You do a market analysis, which is, you go out and you look at all the different properties that sold in that neighborhood, how much they sold for based on their square footage, and you come back and you figure out a good marketing price for that property. And then you put it on the market, you take good pictures, you put it on the internet, it gets syndicated to so many different places. And it just goes to the World Wide Web everywhere. And that's where everybody's looking to find a home
Well,
now.
and of course, newspaper advertising is very important.
Newspaper advertising is very, very important because people like to go through the paper, they pick it out.
It's a passive thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Pictures sell.
Yeah.
And you need to start with the newspaper.
Right. Sorry, I've got to do that. But I mean, the internet, what I do is, my experience with buying is I will see it in the paper, and that triggers the thinking about the property.
Yes.
Because rarely have I ever been looking. But if you want to move up or have some sort of an idea, or there's a house that you've always fancied in the community, and then you see it in the paper, you're like, wow. So you know,
Right.
so you go in and investigate it. So I think there's an element of that. And
Right.
we're always been told that homeowners want to see the photo of their house in the paper for some reason.
Oh, absolutely, they do. Absolutely, they want to show it off.
So there's the listing agent, and then you put the sign up and your name's on it and that whole thing.
Right.
Now, people will have buyer brokers or buyer agents. What are those?
Well, in Maryland, we represent either the seller or the buyer, but we don't represent both. So as a listing agent, you're representing the seller. And if someone comes along and they want to buy the property through you, you have to let them know that you're representing that seller.
Right.
And if they would like to be represented, they need to go get themselves a buyer broker. And you sign an agreement with the buyer agency stipulating that you're working for them and you have a certain time frame, and you expect them to be loyal to you and you to be loyal to them. And that's how the process works.
Right. In terms of a commission, does the buyer broker's commission come out of your commission, or is it on top of another?
Typically, the seller pays the entire commission. Whatever the commission may be, it's split 50-50. And then the agent has their own agreement with their broker.
Right. So if I'm a listing agent, I don't want a buyer broker showing up, do I? I mean, I want to be able to sell the house on my own.
Well, sure. I mean, that's always nice to get the double deal, as we
Right.
call it. But, that's not always practical. The astute buyers today, they like to make sure that they get
The proper representation.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
Sorry.
because if you're representing the seller, you could probably say anything, or not that you would because of ethics.
Well,
but,
you still have to be honest and truthful. I
Right.
mean, we have a code of ethics, and we absolutely strive to. We're realtors, and being realtors, we belong to the National Association of Realtors, and we have the code of ethics from them, which actually drives everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there's a perception about the ethics. People love to make fun of real estate agents, just like they do, used car salesmen to a
Right.
degree. How do you all feel about that? How do you fight that off?
Well, we're more like a professional, like a doctor. You have an appointment, you sit down, you go over what it is you're going to do, and then you go and operate and go out and
Right.
and find that property that you're looking for. But most realtors are very, very professional. I don't think we're anything like car salesmen. The statistics show, and there's so much that a buyer can or a seller can do to find out on their own what their property is really worth, that you can't play games with them
Right.
anymore like you used to many years ago. When I started in the business 37 years ago, and the contract was only 1.5 pages, and you had a little cue card, and it said, "Oh, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Okay, well, I'm going to take them out and show it." And you didn't have any comparables. You had to know the market.
Right.
It's so much different now.
Right. I took a real estate class. I never sat for the test, but I took a class in college as an elective, and the contracts were 2 pages. And the hardest thing for me to get through that was learning how to do the math for square footage.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that you learn when you take the real estate course is how much concrete you would use to pour a patio or a sidewalk that's 2 feet by
Right.
25 feet or something. Who cares?
But it adds to your level of expertise.
Yeah.
And I have to say, in working with realtors through the real estate tab that we have in the paper, they are professionals, and they know their properties. They know the materials, like in a kitchen, and the different appliances. And,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Like they're almost like home decorators. They're so able to know what's going on inside of a house.
Well, and then they need to know what the latest and the greatest is. Are people still using solid surface countertops, or what are they using now? That kind of thing. It's crazy. You got to keep up with it all.
Right. So when someone approaches you to sell a house, what's the biggest mistake they make, or something you would warn people to know going into the process?
Don't overprice it. If you overprice it, it sits too long and it gets stale.
Right.
Price it right in the beginning and it'll sell. Our inventory's down considerably. I just did a check this morning. Just for Ocean City condos, there's only 808 on the market now. Back in the height when things were really, really bad, we were up 2,500
Right.
listings. So as the inventory continues to dwindle, the prices will start going up, and we are seeing that now. The prices have started to rise.
So people, they want more money. They all think their house is worth more than anyone else's house because there's an emotional attachment, or because they're upside down, or
Yeah.
there's that kind of stuff too. What other problems do they have? What other mistakes do they make in the process?
Well, availability to show it. You need to pretty much be available during regular business hours.
You have to keep it up. You got to keep the grass cut and
You
keep
have
the house clean.
You have to make the bed,
Yeah.
do the dishes, declutter. Oh, that's a big one.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes you might advise somebody to get a home inspection first, just to make sure that there's no things that are hidden that need to be fixed.
Right.
you
Now,
know.
a home inspection will find things like termites or mold or,
Well, home inspection mostly, well, it's going to check all your appliances, your windows, your electrics, your plumbing, the structural things, your roof,
right,
your crawl space, that kind of thing. Um, then, and if they could see mold, if it were there, however, it's not a mold inspection that they do.
gotcha.
Termite inspection is always done just a few weeks before settlement because they're only good for 30 days. And termites can move in pretty quick when they want. So you got to make sure they're not there when you go to settlement. But it is nice to have it ahead of time just so that if there's something that needs to be repaired, it can be fixed.
Right, you see that all the time. The contract is activated, and then there's the home inspection. There's all these problems.
Right, and then you're renegotiating.
Right.
So if you get that done first, it's good.
That way, you know.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
And we do offer home warranties. All of the companies have home warranties that they can offer, which can cover the seller from the time that it's put on the market until it sells, and then the buyer gets the home warranty for another year.
Okay.
That's a really, really
Very
good,
helpful.
excellent tool. It's a $100 deductible per occurrence. However, if it's a HVAC system that's $6,000 and it needs to be replaced, that's only $100 out of your pocket.
Right.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
What about on the buyer side? What do buyers do wrong all the time?
Well, I can't really say that they do something wrong all
Well,
the
I get
time.
the feeling like a lot of people show up and they put in a bid and they could never
Well, they
qualify
can
for
be-
the loan.
Well, you absolutely have to be
Yeah.
pre-qualified before you go out and look at property. We really, the professional realtors make sure that they have been pre-qualified so that they're not spending more or trying to spend more than what they're qualified for, number one. And number two, they need to have their credit checked to make sure that that's clean. The banks are much more stringent now than they were back in the heyday. So you really have to get that done first, because otherwise you're spinning your wheels. And realtors do not get paid until it goes to closing.
Right.
So, we don't want to be out there just being chauffeurs.
Right. So people tend to perhaps overbuy, or their eyes are bigger than their stomach, or I mean.
Their eyes, yeah, absolutely they are. But a mortgage loan officer we'll talk to them on the phone for 15, 20 minutes, and they can find out everything that they need to know and figure out what they qualify for. But a lot of people I find these days are they have a budget. They feel like they're comfortable with paying such and such amount per month.
Right.
And so you have to backtrack and figure out what that cost would be to buy that property.
Right. And another thing I used to see all the time where deals would go wrong were these contingency things where my house has to sell in order for me to buy this other house.
Yeah.
What kind of a nightmare can that be?
Well, it can be a nightmare if it's 3 or 4 in a row for sure.
Right.
But if it's just one, it can work. It all depends on who's going where and what their time frame is as to whether or not it's going to work. You need to have the mindset that this could take 6 months or a year.
Right.
Everybody doesn't want to wait that long.
Right. Who do you like working with more, the first-time buyer or someone who's more seasoned?
Well, I think the first-time buyer is a more gratifying because you're really helping somebody make the biggest decision they're ever going to make in their life. And the loans out there right now for first-time buyers are just fantastic. You can literally get in with not any money, which is great. The seasoned buyer is great in that they know what they're doing, but sometimes them knowing what they're doing
is dangerous.
can be dangerous. But I work with them all. I'm not particular. I really enjoy. I wouldn't still be doing it after all these years if I didn't enjoy it.
Now, you're primarily in the Ocean City market.
Yeah, the Ocean City, Worcester County mostly.
And who's your broker?
Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Penn Fed Realty, which is owned by the Pentagon Federal Credit Union.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And your clientele is mostly locals, tourists, second
homes, and retirees.
So there are people who are selling their house in suburban Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, and they want a place at the beach.
They want a place at the beach. not necessarily right at the beach. There's a lot of properties outside the beach. They're looking in Delaware as well. And it's usually a single family home in a community where they're going to cut their grass. They have a pool. They have, things to do. But a lot of baby boomers are buying.
Right. It's weird to hear that the baby boomers are retiring.
Yeah, yeah. I'm one.
Yeah, I guess I'm one too. But hopefully I'm a long way from retiring.
Yeah.
But my father did that for a lot of years, and he found great gratification in,
Yes.
in selling people their second homes.
Yes, he did. I knew your father well. Yes, I did. And he was very good at it. He had a great gift for gab.
He
and
did.
He was very knowledgeable.
He did.
And people loved him.
What's the hot community right now in our market? You
Oh.
see Ocean Pines. Ocean Pines is something I never imagined it would be.
Yeah, yeah. Ocean Pines is really, really. There's like 8,000 homes there, and there's a big turnover. You have a lot of second homes in there. Some people use them as weekly rentals, believe it or not.
Right.
People like to have a big house to come stay in rather than go to the beach and stay in a small condo. They get more people in it.
Right.
But the hot market's always direct oceanfront. That's always your best.
Right.
People like to see that ocean, and if they have a boat, they like to be on the water side. But I can't really say there's anything that's real hot right now. I
Yeah.
don't feel.
I'm stunned by like South Point, how that developed. I never imagined there'd be so many houses down there.
Yeah, people think it's a long ways down the road, but it's really not. It's
Yeah.
just 8 miles
Yeah.
from Route 50 to Assateague. I actually live in South Point.
Do you really?
Yeah, and I love the commute. It gives me a time to clear my head on my way home or on my way to work.
Yeah. Well, we lived in West Ocean City, and my father bought a lot down by the golf course, and I was 12, 13 years old, and begged him not to build a house there because there was no cable TV.
Oh yeah,
And I knew that I would be trapped down there and never ever be able to get to Ocean City because it was 9 miles to the highway, which seemed like forever. But now it doesn't seem like very far at all.
no, it doesn't. And I think it was 2008 or 2009 before Comcast came down
Right.
to South Point, and I was using a dish in order to get my internet, which really would go in and out because you just didn't have great.
Right.
So yeah, now if we could just get natural gas down there, I'd really be happy.
Yeah, they have to tank it in now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
The Salisbury market is interesting because it seems very stable. When I look at the numbers, it kind of just chugs along. Everything seems very normal with Salisbury. Any idea what's going on in the Salisbury market?
Well, it seems like things are selling very well in
Yeah.
Salisbury. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's doing a lot better. Their inventory is their single families. I think was about. Let me see here. I had a little note here. Salisbury, they have 279 homes on the market right now. 128 are pending, and 350 have sold since the first of the year. So, it's much better than it was.
Right. Right.
And the interest rates are still about 3.25,
Right.
which is cheap.
It's amazing.
People should be buying.
Right. Now, help me with that because the car commercials, the real estate commercials, this is always the best time in history to buy a house. It doesn't matter when it is. It's always the best time. Is it really the best time?
Well, you're still in a buyer's market. Although it's very borderline right now. It's getting ready to flip over to seller's market. And if the inventory gets down, my opinion, if the inventory gets down around 600 units that are left, I think you're going to see the prices start raising.
Right.
And as long as the interest rates start going up, then your buying power goes down. So I think we're right teetering on the brink.
How bad was the recession?
It was pretty bad. It was bad in that people were overbuying, buying too many properties. They couldn't really afford it. And I really think that it was a combination of the lenders and just greed.
That the lenders lent to people they shouldn't have? Or?
Absolutely, they
Yeah.
shouldn't have. Absolutely. Yeah.
I know at the newspaper we saw real estate advertising start to go down, and we just thought it was a cyclical thing. But then we saw legal advertising skyrocket, and what it was foreclosure advertising. So that was the first tripwire that we saw that the market had changed.
Yeah.
And that was primarily at the beaches. And then it took like another year and a half for it to get down back into the Salisbury market where the same thing started to happen.
Right.
But that was a brutal time, and a lot of people left the industry. A lot of real estate salespeople
Oh, yeah.
left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they weren't able to, there wasn't enough business for everybody. But I do think that the professionals hung in there and did okay. They didn't go out and sell people 2 or 3 condos. I mean, the new construction was what really was bad because people were buying 2 and 3 units.
Right.
And you even had realtors doing that.
Right.
And they got caught holding the bag.
And then they would rent them, or?
Yeah, they would rent them, but so many people got foreclosed on. And we still have foreclosures. They're not finished yet.
Yeah, there was a moratorium on foreclosures for a while.
Yeah, they tried to slow them down.
Right.
You know, now they're just trickling them out slower.
Right. But so there's still some in the pipeline.
Oh, absolutely. It's not over yet.
What about people who do that? That they specialize in buying houses like that, the foreclosed houses, the bank houses. I mean, how does that go?
Well, the properties, it depends on what they do with them. Some of the banks will fix them up, make them nice. Then they're able to actually get fair market value for them. You're not necessarily always going to get a deal on a foreclosure. However, if you want to put some sweat equity into any of them that do need work, it's a great opportunity for you. There's loans out there. There's FHA 203B, it's called, where you can actually buy it and use this loan, and you get an estimate of how much it's going to cost to fix it up, and they roll that into the mortgage. So that's a great opportunity for somebody who's going to do a primary home.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now you've got a workshop coming up. You're partnering
Yeah.
with Salisbury Neighborhood Housing
Right.
To help people learn how to buy a house. People who are maybe like
First-
low income or
First-time
first-time
homebuyers.
homeowners trying to buy houses here in Salisbury. Tell me about that.
That's going to be on October the 8th for a full day. It's $100 to get into this class. However, we were able to get a $3,600 grant from the National Association of Realtors, and with that money, we're able to give the first 25 people that sign up for this free.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's a really good time. We need to get the word out to the Salisbury people that are looking to buy their first home.
Okay. And where would that be held?
It's going to be held at the
The River's Edge?
River's Edge, yeah,
Right.
apartments.
It's a
yeah.
new apartment complex
Yeah.
there in downtown Salisbury. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be really cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Salisbury Neighborhood Housing does a great thing. And I would encourage people to go to their website and look at the inventory of houses they have. It's a very ambitious and very positive program.
Well, there'll be realtors there to help answer questions, and if they don't already have a realtor, they can get one there.
Interesting. You just had your big celebration with your 765 Realtors of the Year. I forget how many there were.
Yes,
And Don Bailey was the Realtor of the Year.
yes, that's
And,
right. He's my vice president. Well, he's going to be
He's going to be your successor.
Yes, correct.
So I'll have
in
to interview him
October.
in the future. That sounds painful.
Yeah.
And Wesley Cox was the Commercial Realtor of the Year, so I
Yes.
enjoyed seeing that.
Yes, absolutely. Wes does a great job.
And I saw your picture in the paper with the governor. You were down at the clam bake.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
He looks like he likes you in the photo.
Well, he does. I knew his dad.
Yeah, I knew his dad as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get mad that they don't call him Larry Hogan Jr. because it's like they forgot all about Larry Hogan Sr.
Well, when I knew him, we called him Little Larry, but
Right.
you can't call him Little
Yeah,
anymore.
I'd like to see you do that now. Linda, thanks for being here today. This was a lot of fun.
Okay, it was nice to see you, Greg. Thank you.
She's Linda Moran. She's the president of the Coastal Association of Realtors. She's one of my favorite people, and it was great to have her here today. I'm Greg Bassett of the Salisbury Independent, another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.